Hey y'all, my name is Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today, and for this video we are going to be doing an audit of all of the new authors I read this year. Alright, before you get into anything bookish, make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. Sorry, I'm thirsty. As well as tell me in the comments what was a new author that you are definitely going to be reading more from next year. Alrighty, so I got the idea for this video from Ray at Bookmark Chronicles. All credit goes to her. I will put a link to her video in the cards up above. Definitely go check it out. Basically, I am going through and looking at all of the new authors who I read from this year. There's a fair amount. I don't actually know. 52. Okay, that's a lot. We're gonna try and make this a little quick. Okay, so we're gonna adjust this while filming. Rather than doing all of the authors who I read from for the first time this year, I'm only going to include authors who I haven't picked up anything by the same author later this year. For example, at the beginning of the year, I read Rebecca Roanhorse's Black Sun, but I've since read Fevered Star by her, so technically she's not a new author to me anymore. I think that'll make things a little bit easier. So first would be Ron Stallworth. I read his nonfiction book, Black Klansman. I don't think he has anything else, so I'm pretty sure I can't read anything more from him. His writing style wasn't my favorite, so unlikely that I would, even if he did. Yikes. Next is Lily Vale. I read The Shoddy Setup at the beginning of the year and I was not a fan, so pretty unlikely that I will pick up more from her stuff. Then there is Jamada Emil. I liked their book, but it wasn't anything especially crazy. It didn't really stand out. I actually kind of guessed most of the mysteries. Possible, but on the less likely side. Tressie McMillan Cottom. I'm so sorry. I'm not actually sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I read Thick, which was a collection of essays by her earlier this year. Absolutely would definitely check out more of her stuff. I do think she has other work, so I will definitely be rating her backlist. Anne Haltzel, who wrote Just Like Mother, I think I would read something else by her. She definitely did creepy and unsettling very well, though the mysterious elements of the story weren't super shocking. I did have a really good time reading that, and I read it very fast, so yeah, definitely. Alexandria Bellafleur. The series she's very well known for is the Written in the Stars series, which I actually initially had never picked up because I just didn't particularly care about the first two books. I finally read the third, which was a second chance romance, and appealed to me the most. And I still only gave it 3 stars. Pretty unlikely that I'll pick up anything else by her. Rivers Solomon, absolutely. I think I have at least 2 of their books already on my TBR. Definitely going to be checking out more of their stuff. Costanza Casati, who wrote Clytemnestra, absolutely. I think she has something coming out. Yes, Babylonia. Yes, that's right. I remember her announcing something about that on her Instagram. I absolutely will be checking that out because character work in Clytemnestra, phenomenal. So good. Tochi Onyebuchi. I read Riot Baby. It was a strange time. Maybe not super high on my list, but possibly. V. Castro, I read The Haunting of Alejandra by her this year, and I already have Goddess of Filth on my TBR. I absolutely want to check out more of her work. I really liked what she did with The Haunting of Alejandra, but I haven't heard the best things about Goddess of Filth. Fingers crossed, though, that I will enjoy it because I really liked her stuff. I liked her writing. I thought her character work was very well done. The horror bits, I wanted a bit more of, but what was there was unsettling. So yeah, I definitely think I would read more. Kai Cheng Thom, I read their book Fierce Femmes and Notorious Liars, which was also phenomenal, very beautifully written. Weird, but also kind of a memoir. It was a strange ride, but I really loved it. Not sure if they have anything else, but I absolutely will be reading more from them if they do. Vaishnavi Patel, I'm not sure, because I liked aspects of Kaikeya, but it didn't really give me what I was wanting from this Indian mythology retelling, so I'm not really sure if I will. It probably, that one I think it entirely depends on what book she comes out with next. Perhaps. Not at the top of the list though. Michelle Zauner, who wrote Crying in H Mart. I wouldn't say I enjoyed that book, but it was a very moving reading experience. I don't believe she's written anything else literature-wise. She does obviously write music, but I'd probably check something out if she were to write something more. Elizabeth Thomas, who wrote Catherine House, very unlikely. Was not a fan of the writing style. Yeah, no. Rinch Pecco, I definitely will be. I have at least 2 of their books on my TBR for my 12 Recs by 12 Friends that I will be doing next year. Destiny recommended me Silver Under Nightfall, so chances are I will be reading more from them pretty soon. Elizabeth Acevedo, I'm not really sure. I'm gonna say pretty unlikely. Her stuff is YA contemporaries that are told in verse. I'm not a poetry girly. We've never gotten along. I believe she has one YA book which is written in prose, but it's YA contemporary, which those just don't really gel with me anymore. Recently, she came out with an adult book, and unfortunately, I've only really heard very mid things. It actually really reminded me of The Inheritance of Orchidia Divina, which I very much enjoyed, so I think I would have a really hard time reading that and not drawing parallels between the two. So unfortunately, I don't see myself picking up any more by this author. Alexis Henderson, yeah, I really liked The House of Hunger. I've been meaning to read The Year of the Witching. I was planning to try and get to it in October, but of course, I guess somebody had it checked out from my library on audio, unfortunately. Definitely, I do want to try out more of their work. Joseph Fink, he wrote Alice Isn't Dead, this is one of the weirdest books I've read that didn't really go positively. Unlikely, but I do know Chelsea Reed adored his other book, Welcome to Night Vale, so she might be able to influence me, maybe. April Daniels, who wrote Dreadnought. Yes, I do have the next book in that series on my TBR. I haven't gotten around to it, but I am currently planning to read it, so I definitely will be revisiting this author. Misha Pop, who wrote Magic Lies and Deadly Pies. Unlikely. Was not the biggest fan of this one. C.L. Polk, I read their novella even though I knew the end, and I did like that one. Haven't looked into any of their work, so I'm not sure. I would say I'd probably check out more of their stuff. Kevin Wilson, I read his book Nothing to See Here, and I did enjoy it for the most part. I added something else from his backlist to my TBR, but I don't. Now is the time to panic? That might be it. Actually, that might not be his backlist. That might be his newest book, but I'm definitely planning to read it. Allie Carter, I read The Blonde Identity by her, which very much reads like adult Gallagher Girls. Perhaps if she came out with another adult novel that sort of hits on the same vein, I'd consider picking it up. It might not be at the top of my priority list, but I'd definitely add it to my TBR and check it out at some point. Rebecca Ross, absolutely, yes, of course, duh. I have her Elements of Cadence series on my series priority list. I already have purchased Ruthless Vowels. I can't wait to have it in my hands next year. I'm so excited to get to that. Absolutely, of course, definitely. Rowan Parrish, who wrote The Holiday Trap. I would say yes. I'd check out more of their stuff. Hopefully their other romance books focus on one couple, because most of my issues came from the fact that the novel I read by them was split between 2 separate couples. So if they have other books that are only focused on one, sure, definitely. I'd check out more of their stuff. MX Liu, abso-freaking-lutely. I loved their writing in The Death I Gave Him. Definitely going to do it. It was so unique and fit so perfectly with the story they had set up. I loved it. Yes, 100% yes. Will be keeping an eye out for more of their work. Bethany C. Morrow. So I never realized, I read Cherish Farah by her, and I did not realize that she was the same person who wrote A Song Below Water, which is like a mermaid magical realism story. I never put that together. I used to have that on my TBR. I've since knocked it off. But if she came out with another YA horror story, absolutely would read it in a heartbeat. I don't really know if I would check out other genres from her. I'm not super sure. Bolu Babalola, yes. I already have plans to. I absolutely loved Honey and Spice. I definitely am going to pick up Love and Color. I just have to get my hands on a copy, but yes, so much yes. If I gave the book 5 stars, chances are, yeah, absolutely. I want to see more of their stuff. Denise Williams, yeah, definitely. Yes, I absolutely will, because I just recently bought How to Fail at Flirting, so yeah, of course, that will hopefully happen here soon. Depends on future Nat's priorities when it comes to owned TBR. Alison Saft, I read A Far Wilder Magic and loved it. Cannot wait to get to Down Comes the Night, which I've also heard a lot of glowing reviews for. I definitely want to check out more of her stuff. Alyssa Cole, if she comes out with a new thriller, abso-freaking-lutely, because When No One Was Watching was so unsettling and creepy and weird. But yeah, definitely. I know she has many romance books that I keep going back and forth on, because I'm fairly certain the main trope in many of those books are royalty, and I just don't really care about that in my romance books 9 times out of 10. If you think I should, convince me in the comments. CJ Lead, Off of Mayfly, yeah, definitely. That book is still living in my head and I'm very impressed by it, so yes, absolutely will. 𝗖cie his𝘁, unlikely. I have 2 of her books on my TBR, but after Starling House, I'm very nervous, so they're quite low on my priority list, but maybe Hallie Rubenhold, perhaps. I read The Five by her and it just wasn't quite the sort of historical nonfiction that, like, writing style that I really enjoy. If it was more along the lines of how Kate Moore handles historical nonfiction, perhaps. Unlikely. Carissa Orlando, I think yes, actually. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of September House, there were aspects of it that I did really like, and there were some things that should have worked very well for me, but I think I would absolutely be interested in something new from her, just to see how her writing improves, because I think there's an opportunity in her stuff for me to really love something. It'll depend on how it's handled and on how she handles the horror tropes in the next book she writes. Assuming it's horror, she could obviously go in a different genre. And Rule, absolutely, yeah, I read Small Sacrifices, and though she was a bit verbose for me at times, overall, I was pretty engaged the entire way through. It sounds terrible to say enjoyed a true crime book, but I was pretty engaged the entire way through. There were certain parts where it actually did read like a thriller, and I just did not want to put it down. So definitely she has a huge backlist of other true crime stories that I absolutely will be checking out. Finally, Jenny Slate. I'm sad to say probably not. Her book and I just didn't really work together. Her writing style was just a bit too out there. It was hitting the point where it's like purple prose, but losing the actual meaning of what the author is trying to convey. Unfortunately, that doesn't work for me. I mean, I love purple prose, but her style and Little Weirds it wasn't it. Okay, so that was a lot, but if you think any of these authors I should prioritize more or less, please let me know in the comments. Once again, what was a new author to you that you're really looking forward to seeing more from? As always, thank you so much for coming to my channel today, guys. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. I have all my socials as well as a few ways you can support me linked in the description. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!